What's going on, everyone? So the trade deadline is officially here, and the big question is, are the Lakers done, or what move is on the horizon? All started with Rui Hachimura, which was right off the bat an excellent trade, right? Gave up Kendrick Nunn, who was really struggling for us, although he has picked it up really nicely for the Washington Wizards, but he just wasn't a fit. Too clunky. We had too many guys in his position. We really needed size out on the perimeter, down low in the post. Rui Hachimura, young, talented, sizable wing type player that could play both forward spots. Beautiful. Ended up getting that deal done. Cost 3 seconds, but in my opinion, more than worth it. He's shown some real bright spots, and I imagine he only continues to improve and get better with the Lakers. Then fast forward to yesterday, and we also land another huge package, right? We get Jared Vanderbilt, who, again, another sizable wing who can play both forward spots, also can defend like a madman. I mean, defensively, he is all over the place, and I think is going to be a huge, huge bright spot for this Lakers team and helping to improve our defense. Him and Anthony Davis, I think, are going to be a really good defensive duo. Then you go and get Malik Beasley, 3-and-D style, slightly above average defender. Not an elite defender, but good enough. Got good size, good length. Also is a really good three-point shooter. He is up there in three-pointers made, a guy that we really could use. And then add to that DeAngelo Russell, who I think is going to have more of an impact than some people think. A guy that can score at all three levels, guy that can close games. We've seen him, Mr. Ice in his veins, hit game winners for the Lakers, right, in the first go-around, but also for other teams. He's also a guy that can close and just hit big shots when we need them to. A guy that can score off the dribble. Like, we need somebody like that. Defensively, not great, but regardless, he is a guy that can help. He's got good size, would make us bigger. Have a starting five of like literally these three with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, or you go Rui Hachimura. Personally, I'd probably go start Rui, and then closing lineup would be Vanderbilt just for the defense. But regardless, you got these three guys, all very young. I mean, D'Lo, still only 26. Beasley, same thing. Vanderbilt, 23. He's only going to improve. He's only going to get better. I mean, he's young enough to be drafted this year, right? And then on top of that, you ended up getting Rui Hachimura, who, again, 24, 25 years old. Perfect. Again, you got four very young, solid players, two guys that can help in the front court, two guys that can help in the back court, and just really upgraded this roster. I mean, if you think about it, the Lakers turned Russell Westbrook, Kendrick Nunn, one protected first-round pick, top 4 protected, and 3 second-round picks into Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, DeAngelo Russell, and Malik Beasley. That is an absolute home run in and of itself. Now, add to that, if the Lakers get something else done. We still have Patrick Beverley. We still have Lonnie Walker. You'd still have one of these guys if you needed to. Like, say there is some big, grand deal that you could do. Although I think very likely it's going to be smaller, minor deals. I think this was the big deal. Now we got the little smaller, minor deals. But regardless, we could still do another big deal. And we may need to. In case you didn't know, the Phoenix Suns ended up acquiring Kevin Durant last night, like late last night, which was a huge shocker to myself and I'm sure most people. And they gave away quite the return, quite the haul to get Kevin Durant. The Nets, it kind of made sense for them to take that deal. It was kind of one of those like, okay, like this is too good to pass up type deals. Phoenix is really good now, right? I mean, Chris Paul, kind of the glue guy that can put it all together. He's not the CP3 that he once was. He's not the point god he used to be. But if he could stay healthy, he's going to still be very good and kind of be the glue guy for these two. Kevin Durant is still Kevin Durant. Devin Booker is Devin Booker, right? Arguably one of the top shooting guards in the league. And he's more reliable than Kyrie. So this is going to be a formidable team. Now, they don't have the depth. That's a concern, but the buyout market is probably going to be huge for Phoenix because Phoenix becomes a buyout, heaven because you're probably going to get playing time. You're probably going to get minutes. You're probably going to be in the rotation. Not just that, but they also lack defense. Defense is a real concern, but they were able to keep Ayton. Not saying that Ayton is a great defender, but that's huge. That's a huge piece that you could trade. Maybe go get a Miles Turner or something like that, or keep and, figure things out. But regardless, hopefully this is a deal that kind of motivates the Lakers to get something done. So what could they do? Right off the bat, first thing that comes to mind, and might be arguably one of my favorite things, is Gary Trent. Now, the Lakers definitely could probably use another three-point shooter, another 3-and-D guy. Gary Trent could do that, but he's young. He's a piece that helps now and the future, but he's also a valuable trade chip. And that is what the Lakers are looking for clearly. They want young talent that could help now, help for the foreseeable future, but would have value if they wanted to make a bigger move or a bigger deal, right? Lots of talks of Kyrie being available in the offseason and wanting to go to the Lakers. Well, if you have like a Gary Trent, maybe you could, take a Gary Trent and, whatever, a Vanderbilt or something, and a first, and then go package that. And maybe that's enough to get Kyrie, because it's like, oh, you're going to lose Kyrie for nothing anyway. Or maybe you take Gary Trent and Austin Reeves or something. Whatever, you figure it out, right? Yeah, you make it a thing to where you can go get Kyrie. Not saying that they need Kyrie, not saying they should get Kyrie. Just it's the Lakers. Keep that in mind. But Gary Trent is a guy that you could have. The asking price was once high and doesn't seem to be that high anymore, because Toronto isn't really getting bites for him. Now, Toronto, that doesn't mean that they have to trade him. They could easily keep him and hope that he stays or try to work out something. Or if they let him walk, they might look at it and go, okay, well, not many teams have cap space to sign him to a deal that they want. Just something to keep in mind. But I really would like to see Gary Trent. I think, again, he's a guy that could score at all three levels. He's a guy that can play some solid defense. He could be your starter. He could come off the bench. You could even, if you wanted to, you could even start him and Beasley. If, say D'Lo's out for a game or something like that, that could be really helpful. Have LeBron run the point would be solid. Another big thing, the Pacers deal. Now, you can't get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, but Miles Turner kind of makes a lot of sense now, right? Like, you got Jared Vanderbilt as your primary defensive wing. You got Beasley now, who can guard the perimeter. You got D'Lo, who is kind of the guy that can operate and score at all three levels. Anthony Davis, lots to talk about putting him at the 4. Ideally, Lakers would probably be better off with a backup big than they would a starting big, but I don't think that this would be the worst thing in the world, right? Like, especially, like, the problem is that you bring Rui and you bring Vanderbilt off the bench, which might not be the worst thing, right? So imagine if your front court is LeBron, AD, and Turner, and then your backups for all those guys are Rui, Vanderbilt, and either Winning Gabriel or Thomas Bryant. Pretty good, right? It's pretty good big rotation. But I don't think that it's a complete necessity. I don't think it's something where it's like, man, you have to go get Turner. I just think that he makes more sense now, because now you have the shooting. Now you have the defensive perimeter guy. You have AD, although AD isn't shooting the lights out. He's really been struggling shooting the basketball. But, Miles Turner stretches the floor, all those things. Question is, does Indiana really want to trade Miles Turner still? They signed him to that extension. Not that he can't be traded. He could still be traded. But is that something that they want to do? Or do they look at it as like, no, like, let's keep him and we'll wait. We're not in a rush. And it's like, we could either, obviously if the right deal comes along, they'll take it. But if they're like, hey, we want more than a first, right? They're not in a position to where it was earlier, where it's like, well, we might lose this guy for nothing. Buddy Hield, I've seen a lot of people want Buddy Hield still. Deadeye, sniper. guy shooting, 9, 10 threes a game and shooting at an efficient clip, shooting like 42% from three, would be great. Defensively, though, is a problem. Personally, I would rather have like a Gary Trent who can play some solid defense. Yeah, he's not going to shoot the percentage or the volume from three that Buddy Hield will, but at least, if he gives you 15 to 20, at least he's not giving up 30 on the other side. Like that could be, that's to me is something of importance, something of significance. But for the right part, like if you get Buddy Hield for like 2 seconds, kind of would be hard to pass up, right? Just a guy that, come in, give you like 15 minutes a game, shoot the lights out. I don't know. It's not my favorite thing, but I wouldn't be against it. Like if we got news that we traded for Buddy Hield tomorrow, like I wouldn't be like, today, later today. I wouldn't be like, man, no way. But, I would be pretty excited. I guess I'd be like, okay, cool. But to keep this party going, in the similar thought process of like, hey, we could get Miles Turner, we could get Buddy Hield. What about like a Terrence Ross, right? A guy, not really a defender, but a guy that can score at all three levels, got some decent size. He's not a terrible defender. He's better than Buddy Hield. But also you get a young guy in Mo Bamba, right? Younger than Miles Turner. If you look at Mo Bamba's per 36, it is, scary, uncanny to Miles Turner. It's exact almost, like across the board, like every category. And Mo Bamba is a guy that you could develop, bring him off the bench to back up AD. You could start him if you need to. Say you're playing the Timberwolves. You start AD at the 4, Bamba at the 5. There you go. Now you match up good. And just, again, another piece that you could have to grow and develop and build for the foreseeable future, right? So then post LeBron, post AD, like if you, or let's say once LeBron leaves, you're like, hey, Mo Bamba's coming into his own. Why not get some value, get some assets for Anthony Davis? And now let's say you have a starting five of D'Lo, Gary Trent, D'Lo, Beasley, Vanderbilt, Rui, and Mo Bamba. That sounds like a pretty good young core to me. And especially if, Max Christie even, like let's say Max Christie evolves into that guy. He's great. He looks great defensively. He might be our best on-ball defender. Well, now that Vanderbilt's here, Vanderbilt's probably our best on-ball defender, but Christie's right there, right? So imagine if he can develop into like a Gary Trent type guy, a guy that can score at all three levels. You could have just a juggernaut defensively. You have the floor spacing, shot blocking big in Mo Bamba. You got Vanderbilt, who's just everywhere defensively. If you can develop him into having a shot, it doesn't even have to be elite, just serviceable. Then now you have a legit, sizable 3-and-D guy. Max Christie, a guy that can score at all three levels, elite. You'd be great defensively. You'd be young. You'd be talented. And then you have like D'Lo, who just is like the scorer. I think that could be pretty good. And then you got your mid-range sniper and Rui. That could be really good for the future. So this is something else I wouldn't mind, and I definitely would keep an eye on as well. What is the cost, right? Does it cost a first? Could you do it for like maybe 3 seconds? No, if it is a first, it's got to be a protected first, right? Like a reasonably protected first, not like top 4. It's got to, in my opinion, you probably top 8 to 10. But if you can, it's not bad at all, right? And Orlando has an influx of just size. They need to unload guys. So can the Lakers kind of capitalize and benefit on that? Who knows? Could be a real possibility. But moving on is the Pistons deal, right? Bojan Bogdanovic, right? Guy that's been linked to the Lakers for a while now, who would still, I think, be very good on the Lakers. Play both forward spots if you need him to. Although I kind of feel like we kind of got that locked up. But dead-eye shooting, right? Really kind of give us that elite level of shooting between him, Russell, and Beasley. I think you'd have more than enough shooting. And it's not even counting Max Christie's shooting really well. You have Austin Reeves shooting really well. Guys like that. Or you could go and maybe try to get like an Alec Burke, 6'6", 3-and-D, solid veteran. He's shooting like something insane, like 45% or something crazy like that. Maybe you could figure out how to get like a Nerlens Noel as well. So now you got that backup shot blocking big. I don't think you could do Noel and Bogdanovich, but I think you could do Noel and Alec Burke. You have to throw in a couple like a Troy Brown and like a Winning Gabriel or something. But do you look at it and go, okay, well, we get a guy in Nerlens Noel and Alec Burke. You get a 3-and-D shooter that really helps. You get a sizable shot blocking big that can stretch the floor a little bit, not great, but a little bit. And play alongside AD, back up AD, however you want. Think it's definitely something worth looking into. Just again, hopefully the Lakers can find these deals and kind of piece these things together to start going on a run here. But Josh Richardson, that could be just a simple, easy move that makes a lot of sense, right? The Spurs are just trying to load up on assets right now. They traded Jakob Poeltl last night. That was another big thing. Traded him to Toronto. And so there's a lot of talk that he could be had for a second. So do you just do like Patrick Beverley, and a second round pick for Josh Richardson? I wouldn't mind that. Sizable 3-and-D shooting guard who's already coming off the bench. He's had 30-point games for even the Spurs off the bench. Just a savvy vet that could play really well, could play some defense, got good size, got like a 7-foot wingspan, I think, somewhere in that ballpark. So again, just gives you some length, gives you a little more shooting. He's not like elite, but he's good enough in both sides of the ball and can kind of create itself a little bit. And so you get him, it's like, yeah, like he's not elite, but you don't really need him to be, especially for Patrick Beverley in a second round pick. I mean, the Lakers, again, are trying to find these long-term pieces. And I do think he's a guy that could be a long-term piece. And I do think he's a guy that could help, right? Like get a solid rotation piece, get a guy that could come in and just kind of, just be another veteran rotation piece. In my opinion, we have a treasure trove of young talent now. Again, if you can get Gary Trent, do Gary Trent, because Gary Trent might be arguably the best out of all these guys that I've mentioned. And he's just so young still. But outside of him, if it's just like, hey, like we can get any of these guys, like pick one. Josh Richardson for a second and Patrick Beverley isn't the worst thing. Especially if all else fails, I wouldn't really mind it. But anyway, hopefully Rob Pelinka is doing his due diligence still, and he's trying to find a solid move, whether it's a straight up deal or a 3-team deal or whatever. Get another piece or two. If we can get another piece or two, that's a home run, right? Like teams are also improving. I'm sure we're getting all kinds of deals and all kinds of trades. So why not do what we can to keep up? Is my thing. So far, in my opinion, outside of the KD trade, you can make an argument Phoenix probably won the trade deadline just because, they landed Kevin Durant. But I think beyond that, and I think you could even make an argument the Lakers probably won this deadline, but I think they're definitely up there. But why not keep it going? Why not get another piece or two? Whether it's a center or another wing or a shooting guard or whatever. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you love this deal? Is there one that you just like really sticks out to you that you're like, hey, let's do this? Or do you think, no, none of those, stay pat, whatever? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below.